legends, I just finished my live stream, and the entire time we were inundated with Khamzat Chimaev fans that seemed to be annoyed with us that we were annoyed with Khamzat Chimaev about how boring it was. And I've noticed this all over MMA today, all over MMA Twitter, all over MMA YouTube. Mighty Mouse has talked about it. If you don't like wrestling, just don't watch the sport. And I thought I would just sit down, get all of these little narratives out that all these people who are such big fans of being a wet blanket, get them all out on paper, make a one-off video and say, it was boring. It was really boring. And as fans of a sport, we're allowed to find it boring. We're not apologizing for finding it boring. And I'm going to break apart every single one of the narratives. Now, was what Khamzat Chimaev did in the cage to Dricus du Plessis skillful? Yes, it was highly skillful. Was it dominant? Yes, it was highly dominant. But was it entertaining? No, it was bloody boring. Now, the biggest part of what they say is, if you don't like wrestling, don't watch MMA. Yeah, now, the obvious one here is obviously it's mixed martial arts. I'm sure you've heard the retort before. You're meant to mix it up, you know, and when you're like, well, wrestling is part of the sport. You know what else is part of the sport? Like, literally written in the rule books? You're not allowed to stall the fight. You've got to be progressing towards a finish. You see, there's nothing inherently wrong with wrestling. You know, we've seen Khabib against Barboza just driving down the elbows into Barboza, absolutely scaring the living hell out of Barboza, just mauling him. We've seen Tony Ferguson with the elbows in the ground and pound, absolutely mauling his victims down there. We just had the entire MMA community absolutely praising Fluffy Hernandez, and guess what? Fluffy Hernandez is primarily a wrestler. I myself on this channel have been praising Fluffy Hernandez all bloody year long because he is the kind of wrestler that gets them down and then drives the knees into the guts and breaks rib cages open. There's wrestling, and then there's being a wet blanket smothering machine. And for those of you who say, well, it's part of the sport is going for a finish. It's a combat sport. If you don't like it, just watch boxing. If you just want to do wrestling and just be there laying on someone, why don't you go do wrestling? Why come to mixed martial arts if you're scared to mix it up? You know what I mean? The next one they say is, of course, well, he did the smart thing. You know, he got the win. He did the smart thing to get the win. And again, you guys say to us, if you don't like the wrestling, don't be part of the sport. Why don't you go join the PFL? Huh? Because the UFC is a sports entertainment company. There is no meritocracy here out on paper like there is in the PFL. Like, if you don't like the fact that the UFC is built to be entertainment on a pay-per-view model, why don't you, all you lot that want to just be wet blanket wrestlers, go to the PFL where there's a very linear path of winning. Yeah, you win, you get points, you get to go to the championship. There's no pay-per-views because no one would fucking buy it. I've got videos on this channel with more views than some of the PFL's videos. It's fucking embarrassing. Oh, if you don't like wrestling, don't watch the sport. If you don't fucking like entertainment, don't be in the UFC. Go to the PFL. There are MMA organizations out there that are just there to purely win as be boring as possible. And just because it's part of the sport doesn't mean that we have to fucking enjoy it. You know what I mean? In soccer, there's this thing called parking the bus, which is the smart way to win when you've got a lead, which is to make sure fucking nothing happens at all, to be as defensively sound as possible. And soccer fans fucking loathe it. They hate it. In fact, every sport has got some aspect like this, where some cowardly fucking team sits on a lead. In NFL, you got the super heavily defensive plays that everybody bloody hates, mate. In NBA, you've got zone defense, which is just completely clogging up the lines to make sure that it doesn't get out of the zone. We've got it in AFL as well. It's called zoning or flooding, where the entire team floods backwards and just chips the ball back and forth to each other. You should hear an arena of 100,000 angry Australians all trying to throw beers onto the Oval and start booing. Guess what? We fucking find it boring as shit. And that's what Khamzat Chimaev did. He won safely by using the most boring defensive schemes possible to just lay on Dricus du Plessis. And when he had Dricus du Plessis in crucifix, did he want to open his chest up, get his chest up off Dricus du Plessis and start raining down ground and pound? No, he didn't. No, he wanted to go for the safest way possible to win the fight. And there is a way to do that in every single sport, and every single sport garners the same reaction from all the fans. Now, people are saying, oh, well, isn't the fault on Dricus for not being able to get up? Everyone has said that. Everyone has said that. From the MMA guru, one of Dricus du Plessis' biggest supporters, have all said, what the fuck was Dricus doing? What the fuck was Dricus doing to allow so many takedowns to happen? Why was Dricus not trying to scramble to get back up? Like, you see how we can give our own team... You see how we can give our own team negative feedback and be critical about what they were doing down there. Why don't you fucking try it for a change, Khamzat Chimaev fans, yeah? Just give yourselves a modicum of negative feedback when something negative is happening. Like being in an absolutely dominant position for 24 minutes and not being able to land more than one significant strike per minute on fucking average. Or I don't know, making your opponent bleed in a combat sport. How about that? Then there's the next thing, and it's the thing that pisses me off the most. The one that is really bloody annoying to me. Well, it's because you're just racist. You're just racist because you didn't enjoy what Khamzat Chimaev... Because you're just racist. Have you guys seen how everyone's turned on Sean Strickland? You know, Sean Strickland. You know, you might have seen him, you know, around the PI in the UFC. He's a big, tall, white guy. You know, big, tall, white guy, Sean Strickland. Yeah, MAGA. Yeah, super Donald Trump, you know. See, everyone's sort of angry at Sean Strickland. You know why? Because he says, I'm going to go to war for you fucking guys. And then he jabs and tapes. You know, you know how everyone says they want to oil up Dana White? And everyone calls him a big, fat, bald fuck. Big, pink, fat, bald fuck. Everyone just laughs at Dana White when he says, oh, Power Slap does more numbers than the F1. Power Slap does more numbers than all of soccer combined, than every single sport ever. You know why everyone gets angry at Dana White when he promises us John Jones and Tom Aspinall and then he doesn't deliver on it? You know, like Sean Strickland saying, I'm going to go to war for you guys, and then he doesn't deliver on it. Do you see a fucking pattern here? Yeah? Like saying, I smash everybody, brother. I kill everybody, brother. I come for everybody, brother. I lay on everybody. I do nothing, brother. You see the pattern here? Also, by the way, you blind fucks, Khamzat Chimaev is white. He's white. He's calling us a bunch of racists. Khamzat is white. Yeah? Also, by the way, everyone was cheering for Lerone Murphy. You know? The black guy, they got a sick knockout. Do you see the fucking cognitive dissonance here? But again, it would take like a modicum of actually being able to think about things past level 1, you know? And then the last one, right, to go back on, well, he did everything that he could to win as safely as possible. You know, to win as safely as possible. Just to be like that. If you were going to come in and win as safely as possible, how dare you expect the fans to all clap and cheer? Like, you are saying, but he's just guaranteed the win. I just had to guarantee the win, brother. I wanted to guarantee the win. Okay, so you wanted to guarantee the win. You did the bare minimum to get the win as safely as possible. And yet you are expecting a sort of Ilya Tapuria fanfare, which is just bizarre to me. Absolutely bizarre. Like, notice how Ilya Tapuria goes out there and knocks out Charles Oliveira, knocks out Max Holloway, knocks out Alexander Volkanovski, and you see the way that everybody cheers for him. Yeah? What are you seeing there? You're seeing combat sports fans reacting to combat. And then Khamzat Chimaev goes out there, lays on them, and combat sports fans call it fucking boring. But apparently, there's a problem with that. And the problem isn't because it was boring, it's because we just inherently hate Khamzat Chimaev. Even though before the fight, the entire crowd in Chicago was on his side, and there was a bunch of Americans, white guys, wearing fake Khamzat Chimaev beards. Yeah? Khamzat Chimaev's embedded episodes were getting more clicks than anybody's episodes ever. Even Islam Makhachev's. Islam Makhachev, who is a fan favorite across the world. Yeah, in the Western audiences and in the Middle East audiences, because Islam Makhachev always gets finishes. And Islam Makhachev does stand-up taekwondo striking and a bit of Muay Thai down the center. Yeah, like Islam Makhachev is a crossover champion. Khamzat Chimaev was a crossover champion. Again, there were white guys wearing Khamzat beards, just like there were white guys wearing Paddy Pimblett wigs. It's weird though, because I've never once seen the Saudi Arabian fan base wearing Paddy Pimblett wigs or Sean O'Malley wigs. You know what I mean? They really fucking park the bus. There don't seem to be any crossover fans over there. But all of that is gone now. All of that is gone now. And it's not gone because he says Allahu Akbar. He said Allahu Akbar before the fight. You know, he said Allahu Akbar at the end of his last fight, by the way. It's gone because he parked the bus. He did the bare minimum. He closed down and played a defensive game. And this is sport. Sport is inherently a competition between two opponents. And part of the rules of our sport, team, if you don't like wrestling, don't fucking watch it, is that you're not allowed to stall and that you've got to be going for a finish. The rule set is literally written as impact towards ending the fight. Khamzat Chimaev did not do any impact towards ending the fight. He gained a dominant position, and notice when you read the rules, it is striking / grappling. They are there together. They are there weighed the exact same way, and a takedown is merely a changing of position. A takedown theoretically is exactly the same as switching stances. You are merely just changing the position of the fight. But the whole point of MMA, mixed martial arts, the combat sport, is to finish your opponent via knockout or submission, or to mount damage to where it is clear on the judge's scorecard that you won. And he did everything he could to not do that. To simply just drown out the clock, park the bus, play a defensive lineup, flood the backfield. And you lot are fucking surprised that we are not impressed by that. That we're a little bit annoyed that cost $90. That for the Americans it went till 1 in the morning, 3 in the morning. That for the Europeans it went till 6 a.m. in the morning. You're somehow surprised that fans of cage fighting that aren't watching the PFL are annoyed that a dude wet blanketed for 25 minutes. Even though we are pointing out that Drickus should have done more to get up. Maybe just admit that Khamzat should have done a little bit more to finish the fucking fight. You're going to do the bare minimum, you're going to get this kind of rage, and it's true across all teams, across all kind of sports. Hopefully Khamzat doesn't ever do it again, because he is not going to be the most clicked on fighter going forward. And the locker room bonuses that Dana White likes to hand out, he ain't getting any more of those. And next time Khamzat Chimaev gets sick, yeah, well done. He learned how to manage his gas tank. It's very hard to gas out fucking lying down, mate. Very hard to gas out lying down. Yeah, that's a great way to manage your gas tank. Mate, I wouldn't get gassed out in a fight either if I just fucking lay there for 25 minutes, but I'm not a professional athlete. The next time Khamzat Chimaev gets injured, or he gets sick, or something doesn't go his way, you know, the UFC really are going to want to play ball with him, aren't they? He's definitely not going to get the Movsarevloyev Arman Sarukian treatment, is he? No, they're really going to do everything they can to make sure that he isn't rushed out of the title picture if he keeps fucking playing that way. But there you go. That's that. If this is your first time here, welcome. My name is Dougie. I make an MMA video every single day of the week, and I go live all the time. You want to know when any of that happens, a new video drops, and when I go live, hit that subscription button down there or the notification bell to know when all of that happens. Let me know down there in the comments. Did I miss anything? Let me know down there in the comments, eh? I'm annoyed. I'm annoyed that you're annoyed that I'm allowed to be annoyed at it being boring. I'm entitled to be annoyed at it being boring. So, yeah, put that down there in the comments. What else am I saying? If you're one of the legends of the channel, always watching the streams, always commenting, always donating other people's memberships, you bought your own membership, all that good stuff. Your names are up on the next slide, as well as everyone going for Team Magomed. Team Magomed ain't alive. Team Sharma. It's going to be bloody great. Can't wait for that fight. It's going to be awesome. Your names are on that slide as well, just to say thank you to the boys. And we'll get to doing the top 10 list. Who's the best 10 pickers on Dougie's Corner tonight on the live stream. I'll see you guys there. Have a good one. Goodbye.